introduction and then hand over the presentation to first to Heidi Korhonen from Finland at VTT, who's in charge of this this specific webinar, and Heidi will talk you through the program with where she's not only the only presenter. We have another presenter from VTT and a few guest speakers as well on this event. I just wanted to say that with this seminar we're concluding our webinar series. Is the one for the that does not mean that the mentoring process will stop. We have on the I4MS website a section that is called mentoring, and there is a forum where you can pose questions and which will give you an opportunity for discussions. And as always, you can also send us directly, approach us directly by email in case of any specific questions, and we will try to help you directly, or we'll forward your question to people who will be able to answer them. As most of you know, the recordings of most of the webinars are also available on the website, so that's enough, I think, as far as I'm concerned, for the a general introduction. We're very pleased that we have this seminar. So Heidi, can you take over? You have the screen already, I think. Can you take over the presentation from here? I will have to leave half an hour time for another meeting, but Christina from TNO will also be here and manage the meeting. So I think it'll all work out. Heidi, the floor is open to you.
Thank you, Halford, and hello everyone. Welcome also on behalf of VTT. So my name is Heidi Korhonen, and together with my perhaps Howard, you can put your audio on. Okay. Together with my colleague Magnus Siemens, we work at VTT Technical Research Center of Finland. Someone has
Yeah, hello. I think if you're not speaking, it's best to put your mic on mute.
Okay. Thank you, Ali. Okay, Magnus Siemens. We work at VTT Technical Research Center of Finland in the research area of business innovation and foresight. And we participate in this Access to I4MS coordination and support action that is arranging this webinar together today. And so today, me and Magnus, we will give you a presentation on brokerage for innovation. I will first start by explaining what brokerage is and the different aspects related to it. And in my presentation, I will also shortly present two Finnish cases of brokerage. And Magnus will then continue our joint presentation by going deeper into some of the practices of brokerage with SMEs. And he also has a small case example from VTT. After our presentation, we will hear further case examples from the I4MS community on ways to do brokerage. Mr. Sergio Gusmeroli from Politecnico di Milano. He's the coordinator of the I4MS BNCPPS Innovation Action, and he will describe their experiences in the Lombardia region. And after Sergio, we will hear two comments from the I4MS Horse Innovation Action project partners. Mr. Tone Sagadin from the TCS Toolmakers Clusters of Slovenia, He will describe the experiences of Competence Center Roboflex Slovenia. And as another project partner from the Horse Innovation Action, Mr. Christophe Leroux, Manager European Affairs in Robotics of the Robotics Lab at CEA, will describe their experiences. Christina, it seems that I do not have the control of the screen at the moment, or somehow. Oh, now it changed. So the presentation will first be on brokerage for innovation. And I will first start by explaining what brokerage is and different aspects related to brokerage. So if we first take a look at the definition that we have on the I4MS website on brokerage, brokerage activities are tools dedicated to setting up new partnerships and for launching new collaborative project proposals. It is a way to strengthen the cooperation between European SMEs, industries and research units, and to give to European organizations a simple, direct and accessible way to find partners all around Europe. So what you see in this definition is that it does emphasize a lot of this networking, collaboration and partnership type of issues, but it also includes the way that you actually put up the concrete projects. Also, if we will look at the definition of digital innovation hubs that is currently on the I4MS website, it also emphasizes this networking, matchmaking, brokerage issues. So brokerage is actually a very essential activity of digital innovation hubs. Then I would like to take a closer look at brokerage. First of all, we have this valley of death. You need to have money to bring an innovation to the market from the early research and development. Yet, the cash starts to come in only after the market introduction. So there is this valley of death where research and innovation can't get to the users that would need it. And this access to finance is particularly a constraint for SMEs and startups, as they do not hold the same kind of resources as large organizations do. However, even in cases where access to funding is not the main constraint, it may be difficult for innovation providers and users to reach or simply understand each other. It is often that these problems are of cognitive issues, or they can be related to the parties having different spheres of lives. They may live in their own silos, so to speak. And such constraints in interaction are also major barriers to innovation, as innovation is driven through interaction. It is through the joint interactive forces of technology push and demand pull that innovation takes place. So both the valley of death and the other constraints in interactions, they need to be overcome in order to enhance innovation. As a solution, we can bring in supporters that broker between research and technology developers, the users of the new technologies, and the providers of finance. which may include both public and private funding sources. And in the case of the I4MS, the uses of technology and innovation that we are especially interested in are the European manufacturing SMEs. So when we bring in these supporters, they broker between the technology providers, the technology users, and the finance providers in order to match them together. And when a match is found, technology can be transferred to SMEs or other companies that need it. And the brokerage needs to be organized in such a way that both the user company and the technology developing parties receive the necessary funding for their activities. In this process, the SME gains the new technology and new skills. However, at the same time, also the research and technology participants learn. They can develop their technology and innovation, and they can learn about the needs of SMEs as these users of technology and innovation services. The developers, they also concretely gain new customers. And when this same cycle takes place over and over again, over several customers, the research parties and technology providers, they gain important customer understanding, and they can become even better in understanding the customers' problems and situations than the customers themselves. Also, when this cycle is done several times, the funds available through these systems, they can be utilized more effectively so that you can reach longer with them. And this cycle also leads to the gradual specialization of the parties involved. Now let's take a look at this first from the bottom up. Brokerage aims to match this sort of top-down and bottom-up approaches. And when we're taking a bottom-up view, the starting point is some sort of a user company that has a problem that needs to be solved. And in this case, the solution can be done through technology. The user with a need can be any type of company, but in the digital innovation hubs within I4MS, we are especially interested in supporting manufacturing SMEs. So through brokerage, different parties are brought together to collaborate in order to solve the problem of the SME. And as I described earlier, the SME reserves the technological solution and skills, but also the other parties learn and gain value in the process. And the kind of use cases of solving this specific problem of a specific SME, these are typically done in rather small projects that involve a limited number of network partners and that are done within a rather short time frame. And the context of such projects is typically concrete technology development and transfer. However, if we take a longer time frame than a single project, and if we look at the situation as more continuous interaction over multiple development cycles, also the networks become wider. Many different customers are helped to find a solution to their problems, and different kinds of network partners are needed to create those solutions. And it is important to notice that it is the interaction within these networks that leads to learning and specialization and the increased innovation within that network. In order for a digital innovation hub to be able to efficiently do brokerage in projects, it needs to build a wide network of partners with different kinds of skills. However, if it's able to step up from simply developing its own connections to actually enhancing the interaction within the wider community, it is able to increase the innovation and learning in the network manifold. So this brings up the importance of widening the scope and coverage of brokerage from joining the different parties for creating specific solutions to specific customers to actually joining the parties for large-scale pilots and within wider regions. So an innovation hub is not just a single organization, and it's not just about doing specific projects. It is about wider networking and matchmaking and long-term commitment for collaboration for innovation. And in the end, brokerage by digital innovation hubs extends to the pan-European and global level and to the level of industries. Here the time frames for brokerage are longer. The focus is on building clusters and ecosystems rather than projects, and the shape of these networks is less defined. And issues like culture, leadership, and brand become essential. And when digital innovation hubs do brokerage, they need to match these views of top-down and bottom-up. They need to understand the vision and joint targets at the top level, and they need to understand the specific and often conflicting needs of different companies at the bottom level. So it is very clear by now that digital innovation need to organize innovation services for SMEs, and that they need to do brokerage in order to bring together different parties to develop specific solutions for SMEs and cross the valley of death. However, to do brokerage at the ecosystems level and to support the overall interaction in the ecosystems is also a very important form of brokerage. First of all, innovation is all about people. It is about attracting the right kind of people that are innovative, talented, and growth-oriented. These people, they are attracted by strong ecosystems where they can join the rich interaction that takes place in them. And businesses are more and more turning to these open and collaborating forms of innovation. The innovation services provided for companies need to match these current expectations. And innovation is often about serendipity. There's only so much you can do to induce innovation through the formal planning and coordination of development activities. It is also important to increase the chance of people to meet by accident and to come up with innovation through serendipity. Meeting face-to-face, it's still important for innovation. Therefore, innovation partners need to be found close by, and regional development of innovation ecosystems becomes essential. And it has been painfully obvious how hard it is to actually forecast innovation. There are no safe bets. Instead, rapid experimentation and jointly co-creating the future is what forerunners are now focusing on. And this is emphasized in systemic innovation, and digitalization seems to imply a lot of systemic restructuration. When aiming at systemic innovations, it is particularly important to support the interaction in the ecosystems in order to allow for formation of mutual visions and goals and joint co-creation of the future. For this, the top-down and bottom-up approaches need to be brought together, and that requires that brokerage is simultaneously carried out at the level of individual projects focusing on specific needs of specific companies, and at the level of ecosystems focusing on the interaction and matching together the needs of multiple parties. When we look at innovation support covered by brokerage, we can identify at least 3 different approaches in it. First, we have technology transfer much as a push mode. There is a clear need for Europe to rapidly digitalize its industries, and as the progress is slow, especially in SMEs, a certain amount of technology push is needed. In order for a digital innovation hub to be able to do this type of brokerage, it first and foremost needs to have a good understanding of the technologies and how to apply them in different contexts. Second, we need to broker in order to provide companies technology and innovation services based on their business needs. The mode here is demand pull. In order for a digital innovation hub to be successful at this type of brokerage, it needs to have good capabilities for understanding the customers, their context, and their needs, and translating those needs to the language of technology. However, brokerage should not just be about doing things for the customers on their behalf. Just serving customers it is very important. But just doing this from the outside may be inefficient use of resources and miss great potential for innovation. And it is important to turn also customers from mere recipients of innovation services into proactive parties inherently involved in innovation. So as a third approaches, we have this ecosystems development and facilitation of interaction between the ecosystem members. Here the issue becomes what can each and every member of the ecosystem bring to the joint innovation and value co-creation. And in order for a digital innovation hub to be successful at this type of brokerage, it is not enough to just understand the customers and the technologies. Instead, an understanding is needed on the many different kinds of parties, their interests and needs, how to enable win-win relationships among them, and also where their interests conflict. It is very clear that there are also lots of conflicts of interest in the ecosystems. And the digital innovation hubs needs a good understanding of the dynamics within the ecosystem and how to handle them. This approach of the ecosystem development is a combined push and pull mode, as it aims to support the interaction between those that provide new technologies and innovation and those that need them. Ideally, the different parties are not merely recipients of services, but inherently involved in innovation. One should notice that all of these approaches are needed. and the different approaches build on each other and complement each other. So although we do not want to get rid of technology push, that approach is more traditional, whereas demand pull-based innovation services and ecosystems development require more development of new skills. It is important that we learn to develop truly complementary services, not copying but specializing. And the brokerage is based on relational capital between actual people, not just organizations. And building this relational capital is an essential skill that we need. We need to learn how to create more trust. It's about long-lasting relationships, transparency, and jointly accepted practices that are important here. And we need to learn to create those joint visions that are so important for the common ecosystems development. Foresight-related skills are also important. We need to understand the possible futures, ways to prepare for them, as well as how to align the joint action in order to affect the direction of events. And we need to understand the system dynamics of our ecosystems. We need to learn how to bring the different parties to each other and how to arrange natural encounters between them. We also need different kinds of collaboration platforms, both digital and non-digital. And we also need to support the mobility of people between industry and research. So from the top-down perspective, brokerage is about vision-driven, complex matchmaking among a wide group of heterogeneous actors and resources. There is no one and only correct way of doing this, since these networks and resources are different in different locations and industries. So the way you do brokerage needs to be based on the specific strengths of your local ecosystems. Also, as brokerage is driven by joint vision, the vision needs to be reassessed every once in a while. So this is the big top-down picture. But within this Access to I4MS webinar series, we have had several previous webinars that have discussed in more detail specific topics of this complex matchmaking. For example, we have had a webinar on the ecosystem assessment, how you identify the different parties in your ecosystem and find the gaps and to develop. We have had a webinar on access to finance that relates to the funding issue in the bottom part of this picture about how to provide funding for those SMEs and companies, but also how to provide funding for the Digital Innovation Hub itself. We have also had a webinar on developing the use cases, which relates to how to find, how to understand the actual needs of the customers and how to provide the customer-oriented service innovation services for them. And also, as this brokerage and matchmaking includes the issue of actually finding, actually matching the Digital Innovation Hub and finding sustainable ways for its existence. We have also had webinars on the business models and the business plan of the Digital Innovation Hub itself. Now, I would still like to take a further look at the brokerage as different ways of bridging and interaction enabling. There are sort of 3 levels to it. First of all, it can be just about providing information to the different parties, information on, for example, the different technologies, markets, competitors, and potential partners. This may be based on face-to-face information provision, but you can also use databases and artificial intelligence to support the companies and get more efficiency that way. For example, I know that Tekes, the Finnish funding agency for innovation, is developing artificial intelligence systems for this kind of matchmaking. Then in addition to just providing information, you can actually work to find those win-win matches and bringing together the different parties and to build those networks in as effective ways as possible and to encourage the clustering and formation of ecosystems. When doing the matching, it is good to actually assess the parties for the win-win so that you can make the friendly introductions there. And then in addition to just matching those parties, there is this level of supporting the high quality interaction, supporting the formation of a collaborative culture within the network. Now I would like to discuss 2 cases from Finland. First, the Demola case from Tampere, and then a case of SME project windows from VTT. Demola, it is a network of that brings together the different kinds of partners. It includes universities, their faculties and researchers, and also students. And we have the business side of companies, and we have the public side of local agencies. And there is also a global aspect. They have grown their network also to other regions globally. And what they do is they have a process that brings these parties together to co-create. Each project takes about 3 to 4 months. They have some sort of a company problem, and they bring these parties together to co-create, to solve the real challenge of the company. The outcome could be a new concept, a demo or a prototype, for example, and if the company finds it useful, they can license or purchase it. And it's also important that they have this process that they have developed, so it's all smooth, and it's also a framework that's easy for the different parties to come in and participate. So they bring together these different kinds of partners, and it's important for the different hubs to also really think through what kinds of different communities are they able to bring together, and what are the different roles that these parties can have in this co-creation, and how do the different communities benefit from this cooperation. The other example that I have is the VTT SME project windows. These are sort of collaborative theme workshops that we arrange for a group of SMEs at VTT premises. This has been taken more or less roughly once a month. For example, in 2015, we had 13 of these project windows. And each one of these workshops has a special theme. Examples of these themes are, for example, 3D printing, smart products, automated vehicles, or noiseless machines and equipment. And it starts with someone coming up with an idea for a new topic that where we would like to collaborate with companies. And this topic is developed, and we put an announcement on the website that this topic is coming soon, so that it's easier to actually already start communicating with the possible SMEs that might be interested. Then we develop a theme web page and an enrollment form for that, and do the actual arrangements for the workshop. This is the marketing and the communication is an important part of this, and invitations are sent to a lot of SMEs. And usually it is somewhere around 10 to 20 SMEs that attend one of these workshops. And so this is a very good way of sharing those different views within a specific topic, but we can share the views together with the research and the SMEs, and also the SMEs can communicate with each other within those workshops. And this is an especially good way to find out about those SMEs and their needs, what it is that interests them within that topic. And from that base, it is much it's much easier to start to actually plan the new projects and to discuss how we are really going to be able to help those SMEs. How could we do the actual co-development in specific projects? And at this point, I would like to give the floor to my colleague from VTT, Mr. Magnus Simons, and he will continue this presentation by going deeper into the practices for brokerage with SMEs. Please, Magnus, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. My name is Magnus Simons, and I will tell you a bit about some practices in brokerage with SME companies. But let me first see if I can take control of the slides. So I hope you can see my screen now, and my presentation is about brokerage, especially with SME companies and existing SME companies. And want to tell about some experience that we have here at VTT about the needs for a brokerage from a SME point of view, the challenge that how we can see it, but also some examples of practices that we have used here, but also other actors use in Europe. So here's the slide that Heidi showed us about brokerage, different party actors in a brokerage situation, but It is maybe a little bit too simple slide. If you look at the world from an SME point of view, it might look a little bit more like this. When you're in an SME company, you maybe have a problem that you want to solve, but and you need financing, you need contact to research. But many companies do not have these contacts. The funding, both on a national level and a European level, is quite unfamiliar to them. But also the context research organizations and consulting companies can be something new to many of them. So in this situation, there is a lot of barriers to innovation in these companies. Divide them here into internal, external, and administrative. And look at the from a SME point of view, it's first question that comes to their mind is what is needed for them to develop their business. Innovation is something, it's a big word, and it's often a big challenge for an SME company to participate in developing something very new. That is maybe the first barrier that they encounter. Another is if they do have an idea, do they have information about the market and customer needs? Do they have the know-how and manpower to do innovation? How about funding? Can they do it internally, or do they need external funding? Can they get funding from their normal funding channels like banks, or do they need public funding, domestic or EU level? And can they manage a project? These are internal barriers that many of these companies experience when they start thinking about doing innovation. External barriers can be limited marketing and information about programs, limited access to and guidance to program offices, and also the economical conditions in the market can be unfavorable for innovation. When we look more closely at the cooperation then with funding organizations, there's a lot of administrative challenges. There's a complexity of the process, the length of process of applying for funding, low rates of funding, and low probability of funding. So this is the challenges or the need that where the SME company find themselves when they start thinking about innovation. So the challenge here in this from a brokerage point of view is matching the different needs and the different objectives, the different experiences of the different actors. For instance, the SME companies, they are experts on their own business. They can solve the problems related to their present business, but they might have a new idea of something technical that they want to do, but they don't know how to solve it. The financing organization, they are if you talk about the public organizations, they have this obligation to fund innovation, to find companies that can do innovation, or not only companies but consortia, and they, behind their calls, there's always some kind of a political program of supporting some type of activities in the region or in the nation or in Europe. And then we look at the research side. They have the special know-how, technical know-how, and their IPR that they are focusing on. So what we need to do through brokerage is to combine, to match the problem with know-how, to match the problem with suitable funding, and often the know-how and funding need to match also. So it's a quite complex situation where the brokerage takes place, and we can say that this is not only a process of sharing information, but also a learning process. We have to make sense of things that we don't know from beforehand, and this is often a quite long process, taking a lot of efforts from all actors. It's a personal learning process for all people involved. It's also an organizational process for many of the companies. For instance, it's seldom enough that there's one person in a company that is involved, but there need to be involved a lot of people also within a small SME company. This learning process is something that we cannot define beforehand, or we also need to learn through this process of what kind of experience do the other hand, what kind of know-how do they lack, and so on. Once again, it requires time. Something about the practices that we use in different situations through during the brokerage activities. I've divided into 3 phases. In the ideation phase, where you need to have matchmaking between actors. Implementation phase, when we have this kind of learning process going on between a set of actors. And also after a project, we need to have some kind of sharing opportunities and sharing responsibilities between the actors. Now I'm going to anyway focus mainly on the first 2 phases. First, something about practice for the ideation. Here we have a set of practices. Brokerage events is seminars and workshops, conferences, organized typically by funding organizations or research organizations, inviting a mix of companies and other research organizations, maybe several funding organizations. The Vanguard initiative is one example on an EU level. In Finland, we have this Team Finland, where several funding organizations focusing on different phases of the life cycle of an innovation. Something Tekes is focusing on the research, and FinPro is focusing on export, for instance. So they organize their own workshops to bring companies to discuss certain topics. And this seems to be a tool that works also pretty well with the small and medium-sized companies. Another typical tool that is used in this phase is to present. Once you have a idea for an innovation, you go have some pitching session with funding organizations. This is something that has been used by venture capitalist organizations. For instance, Slush is one such organization that arranges these. But this pitching sessions also is becoming more and more familiar in public funding situations, also both in Finland but also at the EU level. Hackathon is one instrument that is used when a company has a special problem and wants to have some outside ideas of how to solve it. A think tank is maybe something that a smaller workshop where experts are working on together with actors from a SME company to solve their problems. Maybe they don't have a structured situation, or they cannot define specific needs, but they need to have outside people working with them to define the development needs and targets. And even more focused tool is maybe a pre-study, where the company has defined an objective project, a need, but needs to have more background information about it before doing some planning. So these kind of activities, I think, are used for matching people from industry, matching people from research, but also to find suitable funding instruments for these innovative projects. Then something about practices for implementation in SME companies. I would say that here first is a long list of different practices that are used in technology transfer. I'm not going through this list, but the main point here is that many of these tools are not developed from a SME point of view. The SME companies, they really often have limited resources, and the resources are committed to their daily operations. So their mobility is limited, and lots of these tools listed here require traveling or going to a research center or a specific location or something like that. So this is something that we need to address when we think of how to cooperate with the SME companies. This one point is to have a look at the company and the technological capabilities of the company before planning how to cooperate with this. Here's a model that from OECD, how they have classified companies in low technology SMEs with little technological capabilities and no experts. Minimum capability SMEs with one engineer and able to do package solutions. Technological competences with multiple engineers, some budgetary means, and then organization that is focused on research. So within the SME group of SME companies, we have several different levels, and we need to be able to identify at what level a specific company is to find suitable tools for this cooperation and brokerage. These are just examples and not a full list of what can work in what situation. And this, I think, is very much a joint challenge for us to choose these tools, to test them out in different situations, and maybe to share information on what is a good example in what situation. When you're successful, for instance, here is an example from VTT, where we have with SME companies that we have cooperated with over several years. We have been able to build up a let's say strategic partnership with them, and we can build large innovative programs together with them, focusing on their business from many points of view. For instance, we have programs where we look at from a product technology point of view, we look at their production or processes, and we look at their business activities, and also the organizational point of view has been addressed. So after a long learning process of getting to understand each other, getting to know each other, and finding joint objectives, we have in special cases been able to build very good strategic relationships with companies, and this, I think, we should have as a goal, working with these small and medium-sized companies. This is what I had to present today, and I think this is something that is a challenge for most of us, and it would be nice to hear some more experience from other people in this area. Thank you. And Heidi, who will continue?
Thank you, Magnus. Now, in case there is one very short, quick question, we can take such now, but I'm hoping us to have more room for questions still in the end of the presentation. Do we have short question, or should we just go forward? Okay, our next presenter is Mr. Sergio Gusmeroli, the coordinator of the I4MS B in CPPS Innovation Action, about CPS or IoT adoption by manufacturing SMEs. Sergio, would you please tell us about your experience in brokerage? What have you learned in setting up new partnerships and collaborations in I4MS?
Okay, good morning to everybody, and thank you, Heidi, for inviting me to this webinar. I'm Sergio Gusmeroli, and I realized that implemented these slides with the collaboration of my colleague Marta. The slide deck is quite huge, and so I will put at disposal of the attendants, but I will just touch a few slides and a few considerations about brokerage. First of all, BCPPS is an I4MS innovation action, phase 2 of I4MS, and it is the innovation action about CPS and IoT. CPS are cyber physical systems, and IoT is Internet of Things. basically we are addressing three main pillars. One is the creation, nurturing and brokerage of regional digital innovation hubs, and this will be the main focus of my presentation. Second, we also developed and integrated an open source platform for linking real world, digital world and virtual world, which means a platform for IoT and industrial IoT and industrial analytics. And this platform is available also to all of you. So if any of you has interest in CPS IoT, then please feel free to contact me, and we will maybe arrange some discussion about it. Third is we are experimenting this platform in some experiments, in some industrial pilots, and in particular we are currently running 15 experiments, and 10 more will be launched next month in May. Which is the background? Okay, the background is that BNCPPS is the innovation action in I4MS, which is implementing Industry 4.0. And this is a very old slide coming from Germany, and it says that the fourth industrial revolution is based on cyber-physical system. So the point is that our project and also our brokerage activity is devoted to CPSization. Is a bad word, but maybe it is something that everybody could understand. And the CPSization, which means to have a smart factory, then it will allow the flourishing of additional services, the so-called Internet of Services, or Internet der Dienste, and the Internet of Things, which is the Internet der Dinge in the German case. What we are doing in BNCPPS is that we are focusing on 5 regions and 5 regional digital innovation hubs, which are located in these 5 regions. These regions belong to the Vanguard initiative, which was also mentioned by Magnus in the previous presentation. Vanguard is an initiative of the Smart Specialization Platform of DigiRegio, which is now called Industrial Modernization. And in particular, we are inside the efficient and sustainable manufacturing pilot of Vanguard. In these 5 regions, we are creating some industrial champions in different sectors and domains, and we create an ecosystem of providers, solution providers in the field of CPS and IoT, and of manufacturing SMEs. We are also offering mentoring and coaching services to 10 more winners of the open call, and I believe many of them are in the audience now. But again, I invite other regions which are interested in CPS and IoT to contact me, and we could discuss how we could cooperate. I would like just to mention one aspect, which is, in my opinion, very important. That is, we are talking about digital innovation hubs, but a specific category of digital innovation hubs. Here you have 2 examples of digital innovation hubs, which are neither regional and nor manufacturing oriented. But these are digital innovation hubs. So the basic point, I use usually a metaphor saying that the digital transformation of European manufacturing industry is a coin, and on the one side of the coin we have digital innovation, And on the other side of the coin, we have manufacturing innovation. And linking the two is not always obvious, is not always straightforward. Because of technical problems, but because also of psychological or trust problems. There is some sort of mistrust between the manufacturing companies and the IT, owing to historical reasons. And I think that the major role of brokerage and the major role we are going to play in these regions is to become honest brokers, which means that we will accept, we will be inclusive regarding the technologies, and in the same time we will be technology neutral. So we are not really pushing one technology rather than another technology on the one side, but we will set up discussion fora, events, webinar, in order to see which are the pros and the cons of the different technological aspects. In this sense, our notion of digital innovation hub is a bit different from what, for instance, Fireware or the IT Digital Kick is doing. First of all, the role of manufacturing industry in our digital innovation hub must be very active. And active means that they don't just play the role of demand pool or requirements or scenarios. They should be actors, which means that, in our opinion, manufacturing industry should migrate towards the technology. It is not possible that the technology could permeate manufacturing industry without any effort from the manufacturing industry. And this effort from the manufacturing industry is concerned with the products, with the processes, but mostly with the human resources. And so there is a real need for migrating jobs, skills, workforce towards the new technologies. Second, we need hands-on experimental facilities. This is another lesson learned for our brokerage event. So we need really concrete facilities where demand and offer could meet, and it is not just something virtual or just digital. We need real training factories, learning factories, or didactic factories, as they are called now. Point 3 and 4 is very important. That is, we have two very different innovation models. One brought forward by the digital world and the other accepted by the manufacturing world. I always use also this joke. You could please try to go to Airbus or to any manufacturing industry working on very specific and critical software, and tell them that you are bringing the voice of hackers and of hackathons. So the point is that we really need to make the two innovation models converge, and this is not easy at all. And the basic consideration we learned from our brokerage activity is that software is not the end, but it is a means. And the risk of these digital innovation hubs is that we develop a lot of software solutions, and then we are looking for problems. And this is not the case. So the development of new solutions must be cooperative and participative between providers and users. This is what we learn in BNCPPS, and we applied it in the Lombardy region.
Yeah, thank you, Sergio. This has been some very, very good practical examples, and I know you would have a lot of more material there as well.
Just 2 slides. 2 minutes.
2 minutes, but then we really need to move on because everyone is on a timeline.
Okay, the 2 minutes is that what we are doing in Lombardia. In Italy, we have a situation that more or less 80% of the manufacturing SMEs do not even know what Industry 4.0 is. And this is what we are doing in Lombardia. We are trying to recover this situation, and we set up a regional manufacturing digital innovation hub through the Intelligent Factory Cluster Initiative in Lombardia. We had already several meetings, and we achieved also very good results about awareness and willingness to collaborate and to put in place Industry 4.0 projects. And we also have a platform, an IT platform, which is available to all of you in order to allow access to competencies, access to technology, to experiments, to knowledge, and to market. And we have lighthouse projects, the so-called experimental facilities, to help manufacturing SMEs to touch with their hands Industry 4.0. And that's all.
Thank you, Sergio. Now I would like to give the floor to Tone Sagadin. I hope I'm pronouncing it somewhere there. Tone comes from the TCS Toolmakers Cluster of Slovenia, and he comes from the Horse Innovation Action, where he works as a project partner. Tone, please welcome. The floor is yours.
Hello, Tone here. Should I put the presentation on? Can you see me?
I still can't see you. Please try and put it on.
Then I would send you the request again. Just a second.
Yes.
Yes, now I see you.
Ah, you see me.
I think you just clicked stop sharing your screen. Yes, that's better.
So I should stop sharing, or it's okay?
No,
can you see me?
Now it's okay.
Now it's okay.
You stopped it again. If you click your screen one time,
yeah.
On the right side, we would be able to see you again.
Share your screen. It's okay?
No? Could you click it again? Yes, now it's fine. Don't click it anymore.
Can you see now?
Yes, now we see you.
It's okay? Okay. I am Tone Sagadin from Toolmakers Cluster of Slovenia. We are members of HORSE project. HORSE is dedicated to the deployment of robotics to SMEs. This is the main part, the main role of the project. How can I proceed with this presentation?
if you just open your presentation, your PowerPoint, then we would be able to see it as you see it on your screen.
So am I in?
Yes, yes, you're in.
So,
we see.
Okay, I proceed. So this is, can you see this picture of competence centers?
Yes.
Yes, super. So part of the HORSE project is development of network of competence centers devoted to deployment of robotics to SMEs. There are 3 existing competence centers, TIA France, TNO Netherlands, and TUM Germany, and we are developing new competence centers, RoboFlex Slovenia. In the context of brokerage activities, here is the possibility, this project offers the possibility of networking between clusters. So, and in this level, and also we can involve our SMEs in this network, so to potentially work with SIA or TUM and so on. So this is this general picture of the potentials for brokerage activities on the European level. Regarding our competence centers, organization is specific, we have 3 partners, toolmaking clusters as institution managing it. Then a company ETRA, which is a system developer of robotics, they will run the demonstration center.
Tony,
and
interrupt you, but
yes?
We have received some comments that some people cannot see the screen. So I see the screen, and I saw a comment that somebody refreshed their screen and now they see it.
Okay.
I also see the screen.
Please refresh your screens if you don't see the presentation, and Tony, please continue.
Yes, and the third partner is Lens Living Lab. They are in charge of technologies collaboration platform. I will show it. Regarding our role, we are network organization, so we are doing networks at regional and European level, connections with European research institutions and so on. And we offer project office services. So the complete project office services in the sense of networking, partner search, looking for calls and combinations of funding. In our competence center, we enable SMEs to cooperate with R&D organizations, system suppliers, system integrators, and also competence providers, human research development companies. So this will be an environment which enable cooperation between these different partners, and especially between SMEs and research organizations. This platform is supported by e-platform, which is run by Lens Living Lab. The link is here. So this is e-platform which will connect all these partners working together on these issues. Here I would like to point that this is just the ICT tool. In the whole this story, very important is personal contact, so personal touch, personal contacts with companies and so on. Regarding involvement of SMEs, within HORSE project we performed workshop on this issue. I will don't go through this all. It's just in the context of brokerage. We presented activities of Slovenian competence center, potentials within open call, and the discussion was focused on SMEs to see their needs, then challenges and opportunities for robotics. We presented questionnaire, which was then they fill in, and it was analytically done by our partner TUM Munich. So we have view on the what are the needs, what are the potential for robotics. So we have quite a good basic information on the needs of companies, which is basis for further brokerage activities. Here are our contacts. You can see more details on our web pages. Here is also connection to our HORSE project, and we look forward for potential cooperations with partners of this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. That was an excellent presentation, and as we are short on time, we will go straight to our next presenter, Mr. Christophe Leroux. Please go ahead, Christophe.
Sorry, my mic was off. Can you see something?
We see.
I've pressed the button. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll try to be brief. I'm also part of the HORSE project as well as Tony Sagadin, in which, so I won't come back to the these notions of competence centers that Tony presented already. I will be focusing on the competence center in Paris-Saclay that we will be setting, which is in a competence center dedicated to robotics for manufacturing. So similar to, so HORSE is a project similar to Bean CPPS about which Sergio was making his presentation before. So we are dependent of these centers with respect to robotics. So our goal is to facilitate take-up of robotics by SMEs using these notions of competence centers and robotics innovation facilities, which was set up in the ECOT++ project a few years ago. So we are building our competence centers on these notions of robotics innovation facilities, and we will be becoming digital innovation hub. We are building this digital innovation hub, which will be called Digitech, here with a large number of organizations in the next month. This was announced recently by President François Hollande in one of his speech. Our domains of application in the competence center is manufacturing, but we also are open to other domains of application, as you see on the picture. We are providing some equipment in these competence centers, robots, which are all about robotics, robots, supervisors, sensors, and simulation workbenches for reality, for trials, for assessments in realistic environment, in virtual reality environment. And our technological offer is about feasibility trial, proof of concept, demonstration, proof removals of for problematics that could come up from SMEs or industries in general. So we are sort of we think of being a sort of a bridge between research and industries, and specifically SMEs and integrators, which have a key role to play in this robotics competence center. The services that we provide in these competence centers are about small-scale experiments, training, providing information, providing advices about market, IP rights, networking with other partners or other stakeholders in robotics, manufacturers in robotics, for instance. We're also a bridge with public authorities, with the financiers, with the venture capitalists that we know here in France, and with eventually, to clarify, as Simon was mentioning, this financing jungle, the links with the ESIF structural funds and investment funds that are provided by Europe. So we are some examples of scenarios that we cover at the competence centers for manufacturing that you can see here. Briefly, our main application is about human-robot collaborations with no fences. That's our main topic of research, and that's these are the technologies which we try to promote in the industries, in European industries in general, and with some specific focus on mechatronics, control, supervision, and some also possible contributions into perceptions and other technologies. So we are focused on two main aspects, that is the interaction between human and robots and the safety of users in this context of human-robot cooperation with no fences. This is to illustrate the type of equipment that we have here. We have quite a large number of robots and essentially robots for manipulation robots, or co-working, cobotics, and we also have a few mobile platforms for logistics or intra-logistics application. Some of these the success stories that we already have in the frame of this Accord++ project rather than in the horse project with SMEs. And if I can say a word about these are some examples of, you see at the top some images of how the task was handled manually, in the middle some training of the operator, and on the bottom lines, 2 movies showing the way the operators, the task was transformed with a robot. This task of chiseling took a certain amount of time, and this brokerage that you're talking about is, of course, a key element to this to go up to these results. We are targeting some sustainability of this competence center that is not to be depending anymore on this horse project at the end of the project, but I will switch off very quickly on that. And just mention that we are also involved in a larger ecosystem in which we have set up 2 platforms, physical platforms, one in the east of France in Metz and one in the Paris-Saclay region, which are places where SMEs could come up and do some manufacturing experiments in real conditions. The factory, for instance, in Metz is the largest, one of the largest diesel production factory in Europe, and so SMEs can come here to do some experiments with robotics, or it's cyber physical systems, IoT, or any technologies which could be of interest for SMEs. So to conclude, I'll just show you this little movie, and you can switch it off whenever you want. But to come back to this brokerage of, so the movie illustrates what we offer as the technologies in the competence centers. And to come back to this brokerage, I agree totally to what Simon Magnus was saying before, and ID also. It takes time. It takes time, and it takes time to build trust. For instance, we started to have contact with an SME in July 2015, and we are starting only now to have some concrete experiments with them. And it took us a lot of time to make them understand what sort of technologies in robotics we could bring for them, and what sort of solution and what sort of financing we could bring them. So this role of relations with SMEs is essential in the process, and we also, it takes time because we also have a lot of failure. We have a lot of contacts with SMEs, and some of them will not come up to the end because we finally realize that there is there is no possibility of agreement. So it takes time for many reasons, and it's also a very I also agree with what you were saying about the fact that there is no unique model to build this confidence, this trust with SMEs. I like the slide from Simon Magnus about the different possibilities to do this this brokerage with SMEs. We do not use all the models, but we use many of them, and it's need to be adapted to the profile of each industry, and that would be, in a sense, the conclusion I have on the for this presentation.
Thank you, Christophe. Some very interesting examples that you had there as well. We have now come to the end of the official time of this webinar, but I don't know, Christina, in case there are people who might have some questions to any of the presenters, are we able to continue for a little while.
Yes, that's not a problem. Please ask your questions.
Okay, so if you have any questions to any of the presenters, please do so.
Hello. Can you hear me? I'm Luigi from Lazio.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. It was very helpful. And one question from my side is about trusting, which is really one problem that we are facing while we approach companies. So I would like to ask the presenters, which is, in their opinion, the best way to convince MES that to trust the Digital Innovation Hub. I mean, it's pilots, proof of concept, seminars, everything together. So, in their experience, which is the best method to fight against this trusting problem?
I suppose this is an issue where there are no easy answers, unless someone here would like to present them. But I do not have any easy answers for this. This is a very, very important problem. However, I would say that much that trust, it is actually something that the person that trusts you, it is actually a decision. They either decide to trust you or they decide not to trust you. There is only so much as the person to be trusted can do, but of course it is important to be worthy of that trust, so that it is possible for others to trust you. So there are those issues of being worthy of the trust, being transparent, actually discussing through the different practices that you might have, for example, IPR related issues. And also it is about personal interactions. Trust very much comes to those person related issues, and you need to give it time. You need to give time for trust to develop. And if there are, for example, changes in personnel, it is also necessary to take good care of the handover of things. So you can't just, it's difficult to maintain the trust if you just all the time change the people.
I'd like to add something, Govert from TNO. It is this trust issue is something that we did discuss earlier in the first webinar on the ecosystem assessment, because one of the things that indeed this trust issue is very important. And that is also, I think, important why it's also important that the Digital Innovation Hub has a strong basis in the region, so that people know each other and know what they can expect of one another. I think there's here in the Netherlands we have an example of a Digital Innovation Hub that's called a Smart Bending Lab, and there's a number of companies that work on metals, but they know each other because they're from the same region in the east of the country. They don't compete directly, because one supplies metal products for the agricultural sector, another for office furniture, but they have the same interest in technology. But still, it takes quite a bit of time to to build this trust, and people, yeah, if people need to know them, need to know each other, and that's sort of best achieved on a regional basis. And but indeed this whole issue of community building as part of the establishing a digital innovation hub is one of the key issues, Luigi.
Yeah, thank you. Anyhow, no easy answer is already an answer, so means that the problem is not so simple. It takes time. But this takes me to another question, which is a little bit out of the scope of brokerage. It's more a DIH general question. If it takes time, it might happen for digital innovation hubs like the one that I'm participating to, which is just preparing now and will start it next month, that this time, which is also money, might be a difficult time. So the value of data that will be a big valley if, as you said, and I agree, it takes time. So I ask you, do you think that there will be some seed funding? We had seed funding for preparation. Do you think that will be also a policy for seed funding for the initiation phase?
If I can take that, what you mean, Luigi, is that if there will, once completed the feasibility studies, will there be seed money for setting up the actual digital innovation hub?
Something like that. I know that there is not yet, but there is in the mind of European Commission that this might be one policy that they have to set up in a short time. This is my question.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there, and it's an issue that we also have discussed. Soon we will have 29 very nice feasibility studies. What will be the next step then? How do we assure that the consortia that have worked on these feasibility studies will now be ready to take the next step and move to implementation? It's really something that we need to discuss with the Commission, and there should be some there should be some support for it, but it isn't arranged yet.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions to any of the presenters?
No more questions?
Yeah. Okay. In that case, I think we can call this webinar to an end, and I thank you for participation, and I especially thank all our presenters today, and also the HORSE and being CPPS projects for sharing their experiences. Thank you.
Thank you.
By my behalf.
Yeah, and
thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Heidi and VTT colleagues. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.